back on, Gertie Rude, back again, a Sunday mood. Well, wherever you are in England, I hope you've had a lovely Mothering Sunday. And I'm sure wherever you are in the world, you've either had yours or you've got yours to look forward to. It's been amazing. I've been spoilt rotten, and I feel very blessed. So with that in mind, I thought I'd get on here and do some of this. I've lost an hour as well in bed. I have lost an hour. It's absolutely... I've had an hour stolen off my Mothering Sunday, people. Well, we all have, ladies. Well, it would be ours. They wouldn't do it on Father's Day, would they? No, just lop it off Mother's Day. No one cares. Anyway, Harry and Meghan getting a taste of their own medicine. We're starting it. Well, I like that. I love that. And I've got quite a few things to say about this. Because, true to me, I haven't actually watched it, but I've still got a lot to say about it. You can imagine, can't you?
Someone who has served in senior roles at Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram. And this is a woman who knows the law. Right. And if she's so confident that she could actually launch a lawsuit here, yes, she must think that she has firm grounds to stand on. Right, so what are her allegations? She alleges bullying, as you say. Yeah. She says there's been a concerted effort for months by Prince Harry and others to remove her from office, and that she has documentation to prove this from others who were attending these meetings.
Because I listened to the great Lady C's take on this, and Lady C, true to her colours, and I am genuflecting when I say Lady C, I'm crossing myself as well, darlings. The great Lady C, her opinion, isn't it, is valid, bloody blee blah, etc, etc. Kind of disagreed with her a bit, as is her will. When push comes to shove, she always comes down on the royal family and sort of throws her cap at protecting them. That's cool. That's her. Let her do. Do you know what I mean? She needs to do that. And her subs are a testament to how great and fantastic she is. And my lack of subs a testament to, well, how shit I am, really. But to be fair, my opinion is that I don't agree with what Lady C said. Because she said, she was making the point that Africans, black African ladies or black African people generally tend to be kind of prejudiced towards people that aren't ethnically African as they are. So if they're American Africans, they, not really. And if they're sort of, one parent is African and the other one may be like Mexican or Chinese or Polish, something like that, right? That isn't an African. They tend to be prejudice, is Lady C's take on it. And of course, who am I to say that isn't true? It's I can dig that. I can see that what she's saying is possibly right, and I think I have had in my past a sort of glimpse and insight into that being a thing. But I don't think it is the thing in this case. I don't think Dr. Chakrabarti is being racist, you know that word, towards Harry because he's white, and I don't think she's being racist towards Meghan because Meghan is half whatever, I don't know what they call biracial. Be so careful what you say and the words you use. Yeah, so, and I think that was what she was driving at. She was kind of coming down more on, well, it's an African thing because she's an African lady. She seems very, very highly educated. She worked for, didn't she work for a big bank, Stearns, whatever, something like that. Is it Bear Stearns? Something like that. A big banking organisation. And I think he goes on to say she worked for Meta. I don't know what that says about her at all, if anything, but you know what I mean. So she's a very learned, dare I say, cosmopolitan, forward-thinking lady. She went into the role as chairperson for SENTABELE to bring it more money, really, and to raise its blah blah in the public domain, isn't she, really? Raise its profile. Come on, Gert, keep up. God, my brain's just chocolated out, you know, darlings. What with it being Mothering Sunday? Yeah, so her vibe was to raise the awareness of SENTABELE, to bring in new sponsors and new people that are going to invest or donate either their time or their goodwill, money, whatever. And then she had to deal with Harry, didn't she? And I think we're going to find that Harry, like Meghan, does get all the blame all the time for, she's made him the way he is. But let's face it, he chose her. That's the way I look at it from my advanced age. I look back on people that, I mean, I can remember men particularly when I was younger. You'd always get somebody that you know, or your parents would know in the locality, that was known to be henpecked, you know, and everyone felt dreadfully sorry for the husband because he was, air quotes, henpecked by his wife, who was a real ball breaker. Da-di-da-di-da. I've come across these kind of dynamics in coupledom a few times in my life, but no one factored in the point that actually he enjoyed getting henpecked, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have stayed. And also, when you're being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, it kind of like lets you off having to make any finite decisions yourself, and in any way being the leader or prominent within the family or the relationship. And some men, and also some women, being henpecked's their vibe. They quite like that. And for outsiders to stand and look at them and think, oh, you poor soul being treated like that, that is your take on it. Was it the great Annie Lennox said, some people want to use you, some people want to be used by you, and some people want to abuse you, and some people want to be abused. And once you can understand that, it does kind of let you off having to feel pity for grown adults that get themselves into grown adult relationships and then expect other grown adults to pity them for some reason. It's not washing. And very often, I remember in one very prominent case in my life, when the henpecking couple, one out of the couple died, the henpecked person was left without being henpecked. He was an absolute arsehole. I mean, an absolute arsehole. How she didn't put a cushion over his head. And do you know what I mean? Over the 30 years they were together. And it's only when you get that glimpse of actually there was another side to the story of what she's having to put up with, being with this bling clueless clot. So obviously that's not the same in every dynamic, and I also understand that there is a lot of abuse, both from women to men, men to women. We all know that, don't we? Have you heard of James English? Oh, dearie me. Move on, don't say anything. So yeah, and we're all invited to feel dreadfully sorry for poor old Barry. I think Barry stands alone. I think he's a right little mover himself. He's basically been brought up. I remember the story he told about the North African Caliphate bloke, sheikh, whatever his name is, who had a whole suitcase of money to give to Charles for some. He was a portent, a rich geezer, well, very rich, very wealthy, and he wanted access to the royalty. And he partook of, I think it was like it wasn't a suitcase, but a briefcase full of money, or a carrier bag full of money. And I remember Barry telling that story in some interview he gave. Can't remember. He was with her by then, but I think if they'd left the royal family, it only just left. So he was talking about it in the past, it had happened before. And how pissed he was that he didn't get there first, because he went to meet the guy in a pub in London, and he was hoping to get the carrier bag full of money, but he didn't. His dad got in before him. And I remember thinking, apples don't fall far from trees, darlings, do they? And I think he was probably throwing his weight around and doing quite a heavy dose of "don't you know who I am" type of thing to Dr. Chakrabarti, who was like having none of it, because basically I think she's probably a Marxist and doesn't care about elitism. And I mean, they make pretences of being like to teach the world to sing, and everyone being equal, but everyone's got to remember that the Marklet and the Barry Barrington are a hell of a sight more equal than us, the hoi polloi darling, and definitely Dr. Chakrabarti. I mean, who is she? She comes from some place in Africa. Called Lesotho. Oh, makes you almost want to go wash your hands when you say the word. That is their vibe, very much. That's my opinion, and that is what my perception and my insight. Yeah, I don't really think it's anything to do necessarily with Dr. Chakrabarti being prejudiced against them two. I think it's actually the other way round, to be fair. That's my opinion.
So we're shocked at her treatment. She also says that there was a campaign by Prince Harry and his team to undermine SENTABELE fundraising initiatives of hers in order to remove her, because if she can't raise the money, she'd have to go. And there's allegations.
Oh, so that was what his little ploy was. It'd be interesting to know if he'd fielded somebody for the job. So it's kind of like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. and then because he was bested by somebody putting her in instead, he's been sort of trying to get rid of her. Something's going on, there definitely is, because we've had this in Better Up, haven't we? Have we had it in Travelists that he was involved in? I know we've had it in African Parks. It seems like royalty is supposed to sort of sprinkle their largesse and their beautifulness and their philanthropia, aren't they, really? But with them, he sort of just sprinkles crap, really, doesn't he? Everything he touches sort of turns to sort of dust. It does, really. And it's not the sort of charity that one should be messing about with. It's a charity for orphan children suffering from AIDS. I mean, you couldn't get more pitiful. And then you've got all this going on as well. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Come on, let's go.
Were being turned against her there as well.
Right.
And then also saying essentially that at meetings Prince Harry would essentially try to just take control of these meetings and propose his own ideas which hadn't been approved and on the minutes. Appointing.
So there you go. There's the insight. Because obviously being royal, don't you know who I am, and he can do what he wants. And not only that, if he's proposing ideas, do you remember the propositions he made to Netflix? To the guy that said, if I get pissed one day, I'll tell you the outlandish conversation I had with those two grifters. I can't think what his name was. It will come to me later. But, yeah, Barry's ideas, yeah, probably. Oh, what do I do? I'll just play a polo match, don't you know? Yes, and I'll raise, I might raise £500,000 and I'll give you, a couple of quid. And I'll keep the rest, darlings. Yes, I will, because it costs a lot of money running a polo bleeding pony. I mean, he's the clown that got on the jet as well and left all his polo gear and he sent his bodyguard back to get it. This man, he doesn't need a valet, he needs a nanny, doesn't he?
Onto the board without the approval of the entire board, just himself and his proxy and another person seconding it, trying to bring a Netflix film crew to a polo match for SENTABELE, which was a major fundraising initiative, and that led to the polo ground removing itself and denying them to have the right to have the game there because they agreed to it as a charity, not as a commercial venture. All of these
there you go. There's the thing there. So yeah, he's flexing, isn't he? He's been flexing because of who he is, and like the rules apply to thee, not him, if you get me. So yeah, so it was a charity polo match, but he was using it as a commercial venture, i.e., filming the Netflix to beatify him and his rather ghastly wife, the Mark clip.
Things are happening. I think it's extremely damaging for Prince Harry, who of course we have to acknowledge for him.
Go away, the pair of you.
SENTABELE has been one of the only anchor points in his adult life.
Can you stop saying SENTABELE? It's not something of the Catholic Church of in the Vatican. SENTABELE. No, it's not. It's SENTABELE. Very easy. SENTABELE. If I hear another newsreader say SENTABELE,
for all the tumult and turmoil he's been through, that's been something that's given him at least some grounding and something on which to peg his credentials as a humanitarian.
We got to wait for a big man to walk with you. You can't walk on the road. He's all pies. Go on.
Explain the word misogyn.
It's being misogynistic to women of African ethnicity.
Well, so yes, amongst the accusations are that Prince Harry is guilty of bullying, harassment, misogyny, and misogynoir.
I think he's a petulant little brat. And I think really, metaphorically, the Marklet takes the hit for him a lot of the time. She is his sort of de facto beard. I mean, in the sense of people always blame her, rather than see that he's a spoilt little brat himself. I mean, we've got all the footage of him in years gone by, having a little paddywhack about this, a little paddywhack about that. Does that change? No, not really. And what about that with throwing all the girls in the swimming pool? The butler had to show him out the house, and that was before he even met her. Went to some dude, didn't he? Pissed up, was picking up all the girls and throwing them in the swimming pool. Girls that are fully clothed, who didn't want to swim. And he was just doing it in an aggressive way. And from what I can gather, the story was that the butler of the estate, who saw him do it and asked him not to or told him to stop, actually had to get him by the scruff of the neck and sort of frog march him off the premises because he was behaving Well, like an entitled oath.
It's a new term, that word, which apparently means misogyny against black women.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. But you know, when you're throwing like women fully clothed into a swimming pool, that is potentially assault, isn't it? Really. And of course, he did it X amount of times. No charges.
And the irony here, of course, is that this is precisely the sort of term you would have imagined Meghan to have come up with, and it's being used against her husband.
Just before
I think far from his pretensions to being disdainful of the media, and the media's ruined his life. I think what he actually means is the bad media he doesn't like, because from where I'm standing, he seems very much to like the media. He loves being papped going into court. He loves being papped in the back of the car with the mark clip when it was in gridlock in New York, and like he was absolutely certain he was in a high-speed chase. The guy is an absolute melt. He really is a melt. Unbelievable amount of meltiness coming off of him.
And people say, well, what about their side of the story? Meghan told Oprah Winfrey that somebody in the royal family, unnamed, was racist and asked questions about what colour the skin would be of her unborn child. Not that I ever thought that was a particularly offensive question to ask in the first place, but that's not the point. And of course, this story never even appeared in Harry's muckraking book, Spare. So they, as you point out, they're getting a taste of their own medicine. But this woman has, what she says, pages of evidence of bullying, harassment and racism.
Oh, let's see the pages. Come on, Dr. Chakrabarti. We want the stuffage, we want the dirt, come on. Because if we saw that, that would be the end of it. That would put the whole lot to bed, wouldn't it? I mean, he's picked her and married her, she's picked him, and they seem to be, you know, different arses of the same, well, different cheeks of the same arse. That's what I was trying to say. Don't they? They seem to be made for one another. They're banyan trees, they're sort of joined at the bum or something or other. So, yeah, sport brats, sport entitled. Don't you know who I am? My father's the king. BS. Right, I've had enough, you've had enough. Let's see what's going on.
Yes, she has documentation from external sources and other advisors who were at these meetings who said, essentially passed a note saying, shall we interrupt this? We can't believe what's happening to you. Yeah. So if it's true, I mean, we're going to have to see. Now, this is... He's
probably railroaded it along before, which is why we haven't really heard a lot about SENTABELE since he's married her, so it would be pre-2018. SENTABELE was only ever mentioned in a sort of passing, something that he used to do, and they were always eager to let everyone know that he's still involved with it, even though us, the public, can see that that's probably not true, because if he was, there'd be pictures everywhere. I mean, they went to Nigeria last year, didn't go near Lesotho, where he loved SENTABELE. So I think his involvement in the charity was probably via a Zoom call and by digitally, rather than actual being on the ground and impact. What was it? Hit the ground running and all that old BS that he comes out with. And I think he was cherry picking and raising money and keeping quite a lot of it for himself. And he didn't want the new Dr. Chakrabarti to sort of interfere with what he's got a nice little grift going there. And I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday. He said he would keep that child for the rest of her life. And she's never had a penny off her. She's a young woman now, starving, living, you know, hand to mouth. And it would cost him like £20 a year in our money to provide a roof over her head and food for a whole year. £20 a year. That's all she needs. Not paid a penny. So there's the insight that we all need to grab and go away with, really. He's full of it. And like a lot of people, he uses the charity to self-aggrandise and, look at me, I'm great, I'm working for charity. But really, the money's for him, isn't it? Because isn't it, I don't know what it is it no, it was just a charity, wasn't it? I don't think it was a foundation. Because with the foundation, there's different laws. But, I mean, if I am wrong, is it SENTABELE Foundation? Because if it isn't, then we need to see the breakdown of what the money's been raised and how much money is raised by his dumb old polo bleeding games that he plays. Yeah, it's very interesting, but it's all above our heads, and like mushrooms, we're being kept in the dark as per usual. I'm bored, no doubt you're bored. Love you and leave you. Wherever you are in the world, have a great evening. Bye-bye now.